It's Thursday, January 12th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. Small business owners now have a free option when looking for a shared workspace. We'll have our first interview with newly elected State Representative Will Crocker. We will hear from Town Councilor John Flores and so much more on this episode of Barnstable Today. Taking a look now at our top story today, the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce is reaching out to small businesses by offering them a free shared workspace. Chief of Staff Chris Adams says it's a great resource for our community.
On the Cape, we have about 8,000 businesses, the vast majority of which are small businesses. So we're all about trying to come up with tools for small businesses to help them be successful. So what we created in the basement of our building is a co-working space, and we call it the Launch Pad. So essentially, it's a free space for members and non-members alike who are either starting a new business or small business owners that need a quiet place to work that has Wi-Fi and printers, or possibly have a small meeting with some folks from off Cape or whatever. We're in a convenient spot right off Route 6 at Exit 6. So really, we're all about getting small business people together, giving them some resources here at the Chamber that they can take advantage of.
To find out more about that shared workspace, you can contact the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. The Planning Board continues the public hearing on a controversial proposal to build a condominium complex in Hyannis. To build the 33-unit complex, 2 properties would be torn down in the Hyannis Harbor District. One of those properties is located on School Street and one on South Street. Many residents turned out to oppose the plan, arguing for the need to preserve the historic nature of the village, while others urged the Planning Board to move forward with the project. The public hearing will continue at the Planning Board's next meeting, January 23rd. Up next, we're going to learn about the priorities for newly sworn-in State Representative Will Crocker. And here in the 2nd Barnstable District, we have a brand new state representative. Joining us now over the phone to talk about his first few weeks in office here, we have State Representative Will Crocker. Will, thank you so much for joining us. Been a very busy start to the month for you. Let's start with swearing in. When did this happen?
Well, that happened a week ago Wednesday. It's always the first Wednesday in the month of January. So, it was a great time. It was everything I imagined it was going to be. Very hectic and very gratifying to be able to go down and look into the House of Representatives chamber and just look around at some of the wonderful murals that are on the wall and the names that are on the wall. Adams, Hancock, all of the names in history, and just to be just a small part of that whole history is great. It was a wonderful time.
Well, I know they put you right to work after the swearing in because you only have a few weeks. I think you have until the 20th. Is that right, to file bills?
Yes, we have until the 20th to get the bills into the House Clerk's office in one shape or form, or at least get a placeholder in and work out the details later on. But suffice it to say that if you have something that you want to get filed in one form or another, it has to be in by 5 o'clock on the 20th, and there are no do-overs.
That's right. And of course, you can file something after that date, but it is considered late file. So that means that it wouldn't necessarily get on the same track or the same schedule as those bills that are filed at the first time of the year. What bills do you really plan on filing in the next few weeks?
We are working on a number of bills right now. They're all still kind of in the flux stage, but we're looking at some bills that are going to be dealing with public safety, bills that are going to be dealing with caregivers, people that expend money to take care of an aging or sick parent or someone, a member of their family that they have to spend time and money on. I think should be remunerated. We're looking at something maybe that would be a tax break for people who expend their own personal funds to as a caregiver for a member of their family. That's the one we're looking at.
Kind of like a write-off, Will?
Yeah, it would be something very similar to that. You'd be able to, deduct it from your taxes. We're still, like I said, working on the details on that.
Interesting. I want to talk to you a little bit too about taking over office and there are so many things you do on top of filing legislation. Have you already started hearing from constituents?
Absolutely. We were working on a couple of constituent issues right away. As soon as we got sworn in, we actually started working on them beforehand. Just to try and be able to get in touch with the people and find out what the situation is, and find out just exactly where we can be helped. And that's the major issue here. Is constituent services. We're here to help people, and that's what I want to do.
And let me ask you this question. How can they reach out to you? Do you have yet a telephone number or an email address for your State House office?
We don't have a telephone number as of yet. You can still just call the House of Representatives. I don't have an office yet, so I don't have a telephone number. If you call the House of Representatives, it will get transferred to my desk up in the bullpen. As far as the email is concerned, it's the regular, as all the other representatives have. It's william.crocker@masshouse.gov.
Yeah, and that's mahouse.gov, right?
Right, MA House. I'm sorry. Yeah, MA House.
Yeah. So anything else you want to focus on during your first term?
We're just trying to get in, find your way around this building and talk to the people that we need to talk to, and being able to set up to be able to start our first term here and helping the people in the second Barnstable as best we can.
Will, I know too, one of the things they'll be working on the next few months is assigning everyone committee assignments. Did you talk to Brad Jones, Rep. Brad Jones? Of course, he's the minority leader. I'm assuming he's going to be making your postings there. Have you talked to him about your priorities as far as committees go?
Yes, I have. He asked us last week to send in our 5 wish lists on committee assignments in particular order, and most in ones that you want to most be on. And the first one that I wanted to be on, that I asked to be on, is the Transportation Committee, mainly because I'm very concerned with the bridges. Now, I understand that obviously the bridges, the Bower and Sagamore bridges and the train bridges are federal because they belong to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, but the roads that come to those bridges are not. They are state roads. And I'm not really particularly happy with some of the explanations and some of the ideas that MassDOT has come up with to alleviate the problems down at the Bourne rotaries on both sides of the bridge. And I want to be part of that conversation. It's not in my district, but in order to get to my district, you have to go over those roads. So I want to be involved in that conversation. So transportation is one of the major committees that I would like to be on. Second committee is one of the things that I talked about in the campaign is substance abuse and mental illness, because that's where the opiate addiction issue falls into play. That's that area. That committee looks at opiate addiction, and we obviously have a very huge opiate addiction problem in the second Barnstable and all over the Cape, as a matter of fact. The numbers are going up. They're not going down, and we need to do something about that. So mental health and substance abuse is the second committee. Cultural and tourism is the third committee I asked to be on, because we know how much tourism and culture and the arts is important on the Cape and Islands. So I would like to be on that committee to be able to steer as much grant money and state money our way to be able to promote the arts, culture, and tourism in the second Barnstable. The other one would be the one for homelessness. I want to work on another campaign issue that I talked about. So that committee I want to work on as well. And one of the other committees, the fifth committee I asked to be on, was elder affairs, because we have an aging population on the Cape, and particularly the second Barnstable district. We are one of the oldest counties in the state, and we have to look at how we are treating the elderly people, and what the plans are to be able to start thinking about baby boomers who are now going to start to think about retirement. some of the older members of the baby boomer generation are contemplating their retirement years now. And what they're going to ask for in terms of elder services, senior services, is a lot different from their previous generation. And we need to start looking at that. So Elder Affairs is another committee that I've asked to be on.
Well,
so those are basically the 5 committees.
Yeah, all major committees you've talked about have lots of ties and importance here on Cape Cod. So wish you well. Good luck. Hopefully you get some really great committee assignments, and to look forward to chatting with you again in the near future, just to keep up with you. And thanks for joining the program. We're excited to have you on.
Well, nice to be on, and thank you very much.
And we won't let you go. We're going to ask you back to come on. And of course, you're going to still remain the town councilor for your precinct through your term at least. So definitely we'll have you back on as well to chat about your precinct.
Absolutely.
Thanks
no
so
problem.
much. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, State Representative Will Crocker. So much more to come on Barnstable Today. Now we're changing gears a little bit, and we're going to hear from Town Councilor John G. Flores about what he's working on in Precinct 1. I'm happy to have with me today Precinct 1 Town Councilor John G. Flores. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
You know, Precinct 1 has a lot going on in Precinct 1. What are some of the biggest issues you see coming up in the near future for Precinct 1?
Well, I think there's a number of critical issues facing the precinct, coupled with really some big issues facing the town in general, but specifically, most recently, what I've been working on many hours is the redesign and the reconstruction, really, of the Barnstable Village area, meaning sidewalks, roads, lighting, to make that part of the precinct, if you will, much more pedestrian friendly, much more pedestrian. I already said safe, but making it so that folks have areas to walk, areas to enjoy themselves, mitigating, if you will, the speed of traffic, which is really a critical issue. I've worked with Chief Paul McDonald over the past year, really working on issues that try to slow traffic down, because when folks come in from the west side towards Old Jail Lane, coming down towards Rendezvous, around Sturgis Library and St. Mary's Church, people are traveling 40, 50 miles an hour sometimes, and it's a 25 mile per hour speed zone. And as that speed increases, it brings it right into the middle of the village. And in the village, you have the county complex, you have people going into Barnstable Market, you have people going into the Barnstable Post Office, into the Blue Plate Diner. So it's an accident waiting to happen. And even coming in from the east side, as you come down 6A and you leave the state portion of the highway and come into the town portion by the church on the corner of Millway, the Unitarian Church. I mean, you're picking up speed there, because both ends, the east and the west end, you're coming downhill, and you're picking up speed automatically as you approach, if you will, the valley of the village. So we're working on creating new plans. There's money in the capital improvement budget that I've been working on and making sure that's maintained. So I'm working with folks from within the community. We have a large group giving input and hopefully have that a project that will actually be ongoing sooner than later. So we're looking forward to that. So a lot of time.
And I was thinking too, when you were describing some of the changes that you hope to see or some improvements to the area for pedestrians, recently, it wasn't too long ago that Barnstable Village actually was designated as a cultural district. And so many events have really, continued for years in Barnstable Village, but also been added lately. The Halloween stroll, some very community-oriented things. So it almost seems like a good time, I think, to really think about improving some of those things for pedestrians.
It's a wonderful time. Honestly, with the Barnstable Village Association, they are a very active group, a very committed board. I happen to serve on that group. Joe Berlandi is the president of the Village Association. And we basically create lots of opportunities for folks in Precinct 1. Not only in Precinct 1, but for the entire town, because we do a summer concert series every year where we put on a half dozen concerts up on the green behind right behind the courthouse on the county property. We built a bandstand there a number of years ago. Also, as you've mentioned, we do the Halloween parade. We do the Christmas stroll. We do the July 4th parade. So there's lots of exciting events that go on. So it's up to us as stewards, if you will, of the community to make sure that A, they're safe, that they're ongoing, and that we create an environment to make them want to continue to happen. So that's what I'm working on. And even though I'm the town councilor, everything that I do really could not be done without the support of the Barnstable Village Association, the Barnstable Historical Society, the Tales of Cape Cod, all which are in our community, Sturgis Library. So everybody really is pitches in, if you will, to collectively work together to make it a wonderful community that it is.
And I know as a counselor, you don't just focus on your precinct. You're really caring about the entire town of Barnstable when you go and sit on the dais during your meetings. Want to talk about some of the things you see as major issues here in the town of Barnstable. I know before we started recording the interview, you expressed to me you really want to try and make Barnstable very business friendly and work to do that. How do you see that the town of Barnstable could make some changes? Where do you see the changes happening?
Well, I think it's a combination of really creating a culture that is business friendly per se, eliminating some of the red tape that I think exists within various departments, whether it's licensing, whether it's inspections, to show that we as a town want business to come into the community, to create a tax base to improve the overall economic quality of the community, at the same time maintaining the integrity of a place that you want to be happy and content to live in. So it's a balance. But I think this past year, for example, one of the things that the legislature did was untie the hands of local municipal officials in terms of some of the statewide red tape that people have to deal with to get simple things done. So it's not so much a matter of changing, if you will, anything dramatically. It's more or less making the community be seen as friendly to business, easy to sort of navigate through all of the permitting processes and health-related kinds of issues and building-related kinds of issues, because there are a myriad number of different roadblocks that sometimes can get in the way. So I'm all for maintaining the integrity of the community, but at the same time making it business-friendly. Another area that I think is critical that I see from a town-wide perspective is protecting the quality of our water. I mean, that's a preservation issue, and I think every citizen in Barnstable, as well as in this country, has the right to clean water. It's not a benefit, it's a right. And obviously we can't exist as a society without it. So I'm talking specifically really about the Mary Dunwell problems that we have encountered over the past year and a half, where the PFOS limits exceeded recommended national standards, and as a result we had to shut down those wells and bring in water from Yarmouth and from other parts of Hyannis and run it through carbon filters. That's an expensive process. We're in litigation right now with the county over this, because in essence it was caused by the Fire Training Academy. But even though those wells do not service Precinct 1, they service basically Hyannis, Hyannisport, West Hyannisport. It's our responsibility as a council to make sure that we get that corrected ASAP, and we never allow that to happen again.
And it seems to me too, from watching some recent things that were approved, expenditures that were approved in town council, steps being taken by our DPW director Dan Santos, as well as our town manager Mark Ells. It seems that the council and those officials are working so closely together to really make sure that our water quality issues are taken care of, and it's a priority for you.
Yeah, the council has been unanimous in all of its votes, supporting whatever needs to be done in order to ensure that the water is of good quality. I mean, coupled with that also is the Water Resources Advisory Committee, which is taking a look at all of the excess nitrogen that we find in our ponds and in some of the shorelines, especially the 3 bays over in Osterville. Even though that is not a Precinct 1 related issue, it's a town issue, and we have to be cognizant that we need to protect those wetlands and make sure that eelgrass is growing again, and oysters are growing, and maybe someday even scallops will be growing back in some of those areas. So that's another area that I'm spending a lot of time on.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by, telling us all about what you're working on, and of course, we're going to ask you back in the not too distant future. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah.
Our guest today, of course, Precinct 1 Town Councilor John G. Flores. So much more to come. Okay, you got it? Snowy owls are visiting Sandy Neck. We're going to learn more about that and also some winter activities at the popular beach during our interview with Beach Park Manager Nina Coleman. I'm here on Sandy Neck Beach with Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager Nina Coleman. This is one of the most beautiful spots on I think not just on Cape Cod, but
Yes.
really in the world.
It is.
So pretty here. One of the greatest things too, the bird watching is fantastic on Sandy Neck Beach and Cape Cod. Cape Cod is known for bird watching.
Absolutely, yep.
Really interesting to see that someone finished their big year this year on Cape Cod. So one of the things people get really excited about is snowy owls, and they've been coming to Sandy Neck for a couple years, right?
Sandy Neck has had a snowy owl generally over winter here for many, many years. Of course, we had that year where we had multiple animals when there was a lot of snowies Cape wide. Yep, every year we have a snowy, and we enjoy it very much to go out and see it every year. And it does spend the winter here. It's coming from the north and coming to a warmer place, which is kind of odd to think of this time of year. But coming to overwinter here, where the weather is more, settled and quiet, and then going back up north in the spring.
Wow, hard to think that this is a more settled climate.
It's
pretty cold out here.
I guess so, yeah.
So, do a lot of people come to just try and get a sighting, trying to capture a photo maybe of a snowy owl?
Absolutely. We have a lot of questions about snowies. This year, our resident snowy is way down the beach. It's not really accessible by a hike unless you have all day. And I just want to remind people too, if you do see a snowy here or really anywhere, be respectful of that animal. We don't want to continually make that animal fly. That takes a lot of energy. So we need to keep our distance and not walk in the dunes. That's another thing. People are cromping all over the dunes, all over the Cape looking for snowies.
Right, trying to get that shot, trying to get that photo.
Right, and it's frustrating because they have their cell phones too, so they want to get right up close to it. We get a little thinking just about us and not about that animal, so we need to keep the distance.
And the ecosystem here, we definitely do not want to damage the dunes. So
we definitely do not. No.
Very important to stay off the dunes. Well, being out here on Sandy Neck, we were walking out here for our interview, saw someone hiking. Sandy Neck people still come to Sandy Neck to enjoy it over the winter time. What is there to do in the winter here at Sandy Neck?
Absolutely. Well, it is really a beautiful time of year. The landscape is just so barren, and the colors are just really intense, and a lot of people are hiking. I would definitely recommend a winter hike on Sandy Neck. The Gatehouse can give you a map, and there's a lot of different distances. Gotta be careful. Keep an eye on that weather, but certainly a hike. Bird watching is phenomenal, not just snowies, but these big winds out of the north push in a lot of seabirds, and you get very unusual sightings. So we have a lot of folks that are bird watching.
Interesting. So you can still see lots of different birds, even in the wintertime.
Absolutely, even more so in the wintertime. This is when we do start in the fall. We do start seeing like the really high-end birders out here with their millions of dollars worth of equipment.
Really?
Trying to, and it's written that way out. Birders have a lot of materials on where to go, and Sandy Neck is one of those primo spots to come and see birds. So bird watching, hiking. Certainly, if we had snow, which we probably will eventually, great place to go cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, but stay on the trails. Again, it's tempting to want to get up in those dunes, but stay on those trails, and amazing. I've done it out here. It's just wonderful.
I would have never thought about snowshoeing or snow skiing out here. Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for all the tips, because I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite places in the whole world. Every time I come here, it's an amazing experience and such a beautiful spot. So anything else we need to know about wintertime at Sandy Neck?
Those of you that have off-road vehicle stickers, you need to still, follow all the rules and regulations. You need to air down, and our hours on the beach are greatly reduced for safety reasons. We're only allowing vehicles on the beach 8 to 4, and watch your tides. They're a lot bigger in the winter, and people can get, stuck out there.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for all the tips. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Sarah.
Look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
All right. You take care.
Our guest today was Nina Coleman, Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager. Always a fun time when we head to Sandy Neck Beach. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Capabilities wants to make sure everyone can enjoy the movie theater. That's why they are partnering with the Chatham Orpheum Theater to offer individuals with disabilities a free sensory film screening of Life of Pets. The goal is to provide a safe and accepting environment where cinema lights are turned up and the sound is turned down. The free screening will be held at the Chatham Orpheum Theater Saturday, January 21st at 9:30 a.m. Seating is very limited, so contact Capabilities to sign up. Town Hall is hosting a blood drive next Tuesday for Cape Cod Healthcare. All blood donated will stay right here on Cape Cod, and if you donate, you will get a free movie pass. The blood drive will be held in the Bloodmobile right outside of Town Hall Tuesday, January 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Today, there is a public town manager licensing hearing that will be held for this morning for 2 taxi services and 1 private parking lot. That hearing will be held in the Town Hall hearing room at 10 a.m. Well, thanks for joining us today. Tomorrow we will have another great show for you. We will chat with Animal Control Officer Charlie Lewis. He's going to tell us about how to keep our pets safe during the winter months. We will hear from Patty Machado, Director of Leisure Services. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.